Hope everybody's doing well today. Today's soap is brought to us from Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements. Name of this one here is Chocolate Bourbon. I've had this one for a while. Um, and if you haven't already figured out, yeah, that's what it looks like there on the inside. It's a little bit on the brown side, and it smells great. It's a really nice scent. And I also got the matching aftershave here. Um, for me, at least for my nose, this is a pretty good scent. Works well for my nose. And if you're wondering, this right here will also play pretty well with the scent also. But I'm not using this one today. I'm still going to try to use up my Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements Christmas Preshave soap there. But I've got got it whipped up here in the Crown King Scuttle. Temperature's still pretty cold here, below freezing. I Even the high today is not even going to be above freezing. Got it whipped up with one of the, I guess you might say, first Crown King brushes, and it is pretty close to being drippy. It's thickened up just a bit since I've started, but should be some warm lather this morning. Shaver of the day. This is a Parker SR1. This one here, this is sometimes referred to as a clip or a clamp right there. And I've got a shark blade installed there that's already pre-cut in half for me. And this is the SR1 is the precursor to the SRX, if you're kind of wondering, and how these shavettes from Parker fell in line. And if I feel the need, in other words, to catch that little bit through here, I have my Jim G-bar loaded, ready to go, just in case I decide I need to use it, just to catch that one strip right through there. That's kind of tough for me to get. We'll go ahead and get started with the pre-shave soap. Or put a hot towel to the face this morning. And if you're in parts of the states here, having power is a bit of a challenge, as well as keeping your pipes thawed out. My house, it was a little strange. The cold water was still running, still had cold water, but the hot water was not. So, in other words, the cold water supply going to the hot water tank was frozen. So it took a little bit to get it thawed out. And it's doing well right now, at least for right now. It is nice to have hot water again, at least coming from the faucet. Yeah, it was pretty interesting. Had cold water, but not hot water. Our house is not, I guess you might say, atypical. It's an older home, so where they place some of the piping is what made this situation unique. As well as the insulation is not the best in the world from back when this thing was built, but the pipe going to the hot water tank is at the very front of the house that faces north. So once it comes out of the ground, it comes up in the wall on the north wall, and that's where that's where it froze at. But the rest of the supply line to the house, cold water wise, was working just fine. But in the middle of the night last night, we ended up with some hot water. I haven't had a past few days. I've had a little heater where the hot water tank is at. Running, and I'm assuming that's what did the trick. Chocolate definitely stands out in this particular soap. Oh, and I should say this is the, and I'm not sure how, I think maybe this is how it's going to be done from now on. So in other words, this would be, I guess you might call it the original Crown King, not the CK6 in other words. It does have a really nice scent, if you like chocolate and bourbon. But the you smell the chocolate on the pre-shave soap for the this one here. The it was for the Love Bomb that was recently released. I've talked about off and on. Go ahead and get started here. Pretty nice shaver. Now off to the side, I have a damp towel that I'll be wiping my lather off on. Help keep my sink water clean, or cleaner I should say. When it comes to blades for shavettes, and it kind of, in a way, kind of works over into DEs also. It is kind of interesting that, in other words, you may have used a blade in a DE and it didn't work out so well, and you use it in a shavette and it works out pretty good, and or vice versa. And yeah, I have had a few blades that I have used that, you know, and it works great in one and not so much in the other. Not exactly sure how to, you know, what the reasoning is behind it, why it works out that way. It does have you scratching your head why. Almost the same with using a how it works in one DE and not so well in another DE shaver. I don't remember exactly. I think, and I could be wrong, I think the first blade I used, it would be in between the Shark or a Derby. It was one of the first blades I used in a shavette, if I remember right. It's been a while back, so memory could be wrong. It took me quite a while before I got this one here. I guess you might say, in other words, when it came out, I waited quite a while before I got it. Matter of fact, I got the SRX first before I picked this one up. This soap is really nice. Speaking along those lines, when it comes to soap and how a person, in other words, you know, each artisan, you know, they, from time to time, they may change their formulation, and just like Douglas has done. And for me, the original Crown Key works just fine for me. I do like it. Nothing wrong with the new lineup. The new lineup is pretty nice. Nothing wrong with it. It's just that sometimes, you know, when you find a soap base that just works well for you, like this one does work well. I have no complaints about it. If you missed one of my earlier videos in Douglas's lineup of soap, prior to the Crown King, I don't know what that soap was like. I never did try it. When I did start buying Douglas's soap, I started out with the Crown King, and that's just where the lineup that I stuck with. So in other words, at one point in time, if you're relatively new to the new to the scene, Douglas's soap, at one point in time, there was two different kinds bases. One was the Crown King, and then there was I'm not sure what you want to call it. We'll just say it's the original. It's not the original, but it's the one before the, I guess you might say, the precursor before the Crown King lineup. And I never did get one of those. So in other words, there was actually two different lines that he was selling at the time. Kind of like now, just both of them are Crown King. One's a newer version than the other when it comes to soap base. But I do like this one. I say for the price point, it works well for me. Works well enough that I don't feel the, how you say, sometimes, you know, when a new soap base comes out, it's like you really like that one versus the, how you say, the other one. For me, this works just fine. I'm quite comfortable with it. Nothing to complain about this version, in my opinion. And if you haven't tried the CK6, um, and it's been a moment since I looked, but the last time I did look, he does have a sample size of the CK6, and I think it's unscented, or it might be in CAD. I can't remember um, off the top of my head, but there are sample sizes of the CK6 if you want to give it a try. If you're already familiar with this particular soap base, see if that's something you would be interested in. I have to say, when it comes to the against the grain pass, for me the shark blades are uh, not quite as smooth going across the grain, or against the grain, I should say. Don't get me wrong, they're very much usable. It's that I have other blades that are smoother when you go against the grain pass. I guess you might say, in the world of blades, uh, in other words, you're kind of splitting hairs when you're comparing one good blade to another good blade. Hopefully this weekend the weather does finally line out and we get above freezing. I think Saturday is supposed to be the first day. Friday, I think we're supposed to be, the last time I saw it, they tweaked the temperature to 31 degrees. We've been below freezing for a while now. And for us in Oklahoma, that's too long. We're normally not below zero for 2 or 3 weeks. Not below zero, but below freezing. If you're wondering, for me, this kind of shaving is quite nice. I do enjoy it. The satisfaction that I get for, how can you say, I accomplished the shave without any weepers, cuts, nicks, or anything like that. And that sense of accomplishment is really nice. I mean, it's just, you're all smiles. The very first time I completed one without anything negative going on, well, I just come out of the bathroom, you're just all excited and whatnot that you got, you're catching on, you're finally figuring it out. And it does take it's mentioned from time to time, it's the muscle memory, you're getting used to it. And after a while, you kind of sort of do it without thinking a whole lot about it. And you do get there. It just takes time, practice, patience. And with a shaver like this, it is relatively easy to use the shavette without a blade in it, and just practice, just removing shaving cream, and focus on what you're doing. Uh, you're not concerned about cutting yourself because the blade's not in there. This way you're focusing on your angle, the pressure, and what works best for you. I shave with my right hand. That's the only hand I shave with. I do not trust my left hand. No way, no how. It's just like, there's no way I'm trusting my left hand. It's just not happening. I have tried my left hand, and I guess what it is I find that I'm so distracted by using the left hand that the shave is just really uncomfortable. It's not, in other words, it's not fun. It's not like, when you're challenged, to use your right hand when you first start out, uh, how you're excited with using your right hand. And I'm not excited at all with the left. It's not anything that I'm interested in trying again. Maybe if there was a day if I lost the use of my right hand, maybe, of course I'll be looking at using the left hand, but for the most part, yeah, uh, probably not. I'm quite comfortable using the one hand. I've been able to make it work for me, and I think that's probably uh, if there was a rule, you do what works best for you, what works for you. If there was a rule, besides enjoy your shave. And for me, I'm quite comfortable, using the one hand, so I have a lot of fun with just using the one. Um, it can be challenging, using the one hand on how you stretch and, how you get around everything so you see what's going on. But, like I say, if you're patient and determined, you'll figure it out. It'll all come to you. I mention it from time to time, but just in case you're kind of new and to the channel, one of the things that I look at when a container that contains aftershave is this one here has got grooves on the side, so it does make it easy to hang on to. And the cap, even though the camera, there we go, it is round, but it's like, it's got some flat sides to it, so it does make it easier to grab a hold of to get it open, because sometimes they get pretty tight, hard to grab a hold of, especially if you still got some soap residue on your hand. And the glass container here, there's the restrictor. It is glass, and I have not used it yet. Been patiently waiting for this shave to use this, but it sure does smell good. If you're don't let the chocolate bourbon, don't let the bourbon, how can you say, run away from this particular scent, because it's far more chocolate than it is bourbon. So if you like chocolate, chocolate cake, brownies, anything along those lines, this scent to me really falls in that line. And it does. It smells great. Good stuff. I have another one, excuse me, that's similar to this that I got a few years back from Uncle John's. And things, what is it? Let's Eat Cake or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the title is. But anyhow, it's like chocolate cake. And it's got a it's got a guy with a slice of chocolate cake, and it smells really good. If you like chocolate, that sort of thing. Some people don't like those flavors, but I do. It's pretty good. I had a great shave this morning. Hope everybody's got power today. Staying warm, stay safe, healthy. Smooth shaves to you.